November 1st.
Yep.
It's 20 after 7. We were gonna start at 7, but we've been delayed. Anyone's watching live?
Yep,
Yeah.
we had another group utilizing the internet that we need to use at the structure for our meeting. They just ended, so we are going to call the meeting to order at 7:20 PM on November 21st. And in attendance is Sarah Strong. And
Joanne Gotti.
Mark
Done.
Megan
Relevant.
Relevant.
Pat Rismeyer.
Thank you, Pat, and myself, Crystal. Yes. Okay. So, anybody have any open reflections before we start our meeting?
Keep on fighting.
I had a student, after the election, the student knows my sort of political opinions, my work as a social worker and as an educator. And he was a previous student, from a prior semester. And on that Wednesday after the election, he emailed me and he just said, I want you to know how much my work with you and this class we took and the individual support of me really meant so much. And he basically was like, keep up the good work.
Oh,
And I was like, so touched. I printed out the email. I bring it with me everywhere.
Oh,
I'm like,
yes,
this
that's
is
a
why,
good uplifting.
That
thing.
is.
this is why we show
Yeah,
up.
exactly.
Opening reflection.
Yeah.
And I could
And
add,
it gives you, it shows your performance as well.
Yeah,
And how the students and everyone else trusts you to the
Yeah.
point where they can reach out to you as an individual. And that's what children need.
mhm,
They need that support.
yeah. Very grateful.
if I could add, I'll also add a reflection that I went down, I volunteered to knock on doors in the Philadelphia area to get the vote out. And I worked Monday and Tuesday. And as much as we get polarized by the media, some of the, one of the nicest people that the woman I was paired up with, that we would go door to door, this one woman was very pleasant. And she even came out with her cutout of Trump and all like that. But she was, so
Yeah.
we
Yes.
shouldn't just be demonizing each other
That's
all the
right.
time. Not that there isn't some justification, but that shouldn't be
Well-
across the board. So I
Exactly.
just want to say that.
Yeah, it's good when such a high, strong political event happens, traumatizing a lot of people on both sides. And for people to still stay positive, that's a wonderful thing, and it does show the direction that we are all going into. We're not just hating each other and going against each other, we're still supportive no matter what, and that's better than a lot of family members. A lot of family members get mad at each other if they don't vote to whom they want it to be, and that's a problem. So when strangers is okay with it, you're like, wow, pretty good,
Well, that statement just reminded me, some of us went to the James Baldwin event. And one of the many great things spoken there was the importance to, may not like the beliefs or the behavior, but the person still needs to be loved and appreciated and respected.
Yeah, we were going to discuss that, so I
Yeah,
guess
that's
we can
true.
go into more detail
Later.
by the new business.
Yeah.
Anyone else? Have any open stuff? Nothing else happened, what, to one? No? Okay. All right, so the clerk's report, did everyone have a chance to review the minutes that Sarah sent out? Did anyone have any discussions regarding it?
Kudos to Sarah.
Pat had one thing you sent to me and I forwarded it to Sarah.
Oh.
I had one minor edit
She would know what it is.
and
What was it? The word welcome.
be a welcome, I think, was to be welcomed. I think it
welcomed
Is
our
that
guests.
something that I sent you, Sarah, and you didn't do?
No, I don't remember that coming
Right
up.
there.
Okay.
Space.
That's it.
But I thought they were beautiful, Sarah,
Mhm.
succinct and comprehensive, and did a great job.
So I moved that do we move to approve the minutes?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, not yet. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Let's see. All right, so, to approve the minutes?
I moved to approve the minutes with one minor suggestion.
Sure. The welcome, right?
The welcome.
Okay.
The welcome.
Anyone second?
I would second that.
Okay, so we have a motion to approve the minutes.
Yeah, I moved to approve the minutes.
And it's been moved and it's been seconded.
Oh,
so-
right.
We
So-
did that.
Well, I was wondering why.
If there's any other discussion?
Yeah, is there anything, no one else had anything to
Like any other
say?
discussion, we'll do a roll call vote.
And in favor?
Aye.
Yes.
Joanne,
Yes,
aye.
Mark
Mark, aye.
Megan, I.
and Crystal, aye. Okay, moving on, Bill, William Dwyer, Bill, are you on? There he is. Hello.
I had a hard time getting in.
Yeah.
Well,
I
it took.
apologize for that. We had someone else using the network that we were going to go on, so we had to wait for them to finish. And
Yeah.
then now we
Yeah.
finally were able to come on. I was going to email you, but at that time, it popped up on the screen, so I said, okay, we'll be going on solo.
Yeah, Alex said Board of Health is sharing the same account.
Yeah.
Do we know a way
So-
to make Bill bigger for us to see him better? Do we know how to do that?
I don't.
Oh, well.
Yeah, no,
Hi.
I don't think
Hi.
so. We would have to go over to the computer and.
Yeah, okay.
we'll
we'll
maybe
wait.
Nick will know how.
Okay, I can hear
So
him.
Bill, I appreciate you coming, and I know you have quite a bit of information or some information regarding any updates with the housing, economic and development in town. If you'd like to share, that would be greatly appreciated.
So basically, this is what I just went through with the Housing and Economic Development Committee, which met at 6 o'clock tonight. Just primarily housing and affordable housing related updates. Town meeting did approve an expansion of the senior housing overlay district to include the land north of Route 9, south of Rocky Hill Road, and east of North Maple Street. Specifically including what's known as the Babb Farm, which is at the top of that parcel, top of that area, just south of Rocky Hill and just east of North Maple. Barry Roberts apparently has struck a deal with the family and is going to be proposing 40 or so senior housing units. They'll be detached condos primarily. 15% of those will be affordable, and he tells us he's going to keep those as rental so that they'll be easier to manage affordability-wise. We also just had a presentation from Kishore Parmar, whose family owns the Hadley Village Barn Shops complex and the hotel over there in the Hadley Meeting House. And they're looking at putting in 50 senior housing units. They'd all be rentals. 15% would be affordable, but because they are rentals, all 50 would be counted under the affordable housing inventory. To accomplish, let me go back for a second. For the Barry Roberts property, now that he has been able to negotiate a zone change, he still has to put together an application for a special permit that'll come to the planning board probably sometime in 2025. to actually implement the senior housing. The Parmars are on a longer timeline. They're proposing changes to the existing senior housing overlay district to allow for bigger buildings. They don't think that on Route 9, small structures are cost effective. So they're hoping that Springtown meeting in May of 2025 would be willing to modify some of the density requirements of the what we'll call the new old senior housing district, which is basically Route 9 from the bridge to Spruce Hill Road, to allow greater density in that section. Assuming we see that successful at the May town meeting, the Parmars would then have to themselves file an application for a special permit for senior housing under the new rules. So I would expect that maybe we'd see an application by the end of 2025, but that's definitely a 2026 project. Valley CDC is moving ahead with the Econo Lodge conversion. That will be 50 units, all affordable. They have asked the Hadley Affordable Housing Trust Fund for a substantial cash contribution. There'll be a meeting of the Affordable Housing Trust Fund on December 3rd, I believe.
Yep, third.
December 3rd. And that will be held within the planning board meeting of December 3rd. We'll probably also have Mr. Parmar coming in on the December 3rd meeting to talk more about his proposal. And as Mark can tell you if he hasn't already, the 40R study committee continues to work. Mark, Molly Keegan asked the question, which I thought was, I just hadn't thought of it, about whether the Affordable Housing Trust Fund can contribute something towards the 40R study committee to keep it going.
Right, if we don't get that other grant, right?
Yeah. So basically, I'll just digress for a minute. The Affordable Housing Trust Fund has about $300,000 on hand, which can be used for a range of purposes related to affordable housing. Now, as a practical matter, $300,000 might pay for construction of a housing unit, assuming we could get the land contributed for free. But there are other uses for the Affordable Housing Trust Fund money, such as defraying various study costs, anything without affordable housing related purpose. So like the 40R study, some communities have used it to extend a sewer line to a site where they would like to see affordable housing, to make it easier for a developer to actually create affordable housing at that site. So that's some of the things we can do with it, which is why it's potentially applicable to 40R. So there's a fair, as Mark has probably told you, the 40R is looking at developing multiple types of housing, including affordable units and other non-standard units. And the other big thing that we got through the special town meeting was the revised bylaw on accessory dwelling units. The state has decreed that accessory dwelling units are now allowed by right on every lot that allows residential uses.
Right.
So it doesn't become effective until February. We have our bylaw in place, and we'll see what happens. Not every house in Hadley is going to support the addition of an accessory dwelling unit. The decree that they are allowed is an amendment to the Zoning Act, Chapter 40A. But there are no corresponding amendments to the building code, the sanitary code, the electrical code, the plumbing code. So people may have visions that, oh, I can put an accessory unit in my backyard and start getting rent, but it may not work out for a lot of people because of lot size and shape and area.
Everything else.
We'll just have to see how that plays out. So far, we've allowed about 15 to 20 accessory units that are attached to the principal residence. The new legislation allows them to be either attached or detached. So we'll see. With so many people on septic, adding a new bedroom might be a more costly venture than they anticipate because they'll have to redesign their septic systems.
Exactly.
Yeah, right.
Also, Bill, can we touch on the affordable part of the new housing that's going to be built towards Rocky Hill Road? Can you just touch on how and why the price can be real expensive for someone to acquire a condo?
Well, we start off with not knowing what Barry Roberts has agreed to pay for the site. But maybe it's easier to think of it just as building a new house and why builders are not building affordable new houses. You start with the proposition that a minimum size building lot in Hadley is probably going to cost you about $150,000 before you move a shovel full of dirt or buy a stick of wood. And the market, I've talked to several developers, the market, by the time you buy the land, it's not really much harder to build a $500,000 or $600,000 house than it is to build you can't really afford to build a $300,000 house when you're spending $150,000 for the land to start with. Which is why where the market is the higher end. For Barry's development, we think, with no real reason except, well, there are reasons, but we think that even though he plans to develop much of it as condos, because he is going to be including affordable units in there, the affordable units have to be the same average quality as the non-affordable units. So as a practical matter, I suspect that means he'll be toning down his market rate condos a little bit so that hopefully they will be less challenging than the current units on East Street Commons, which are going for upwards of $500,000. But again, we're probably 6 months away from seeing an application and probably over a year away from seeing construction there. So we can require an affordable component, but beyond that, we can't say build inexpensive houses.
Of course. Thank you, Bill. I just wanted that information to be told because there are a lot of seniors and people in Hadley who are wondering why to buy a condo is so expensive and they can't leave their home that they might have is a 4-bedroom or so. And just this information, you know, putting the spotlight on what it actually costs in a ballpark figure just to purchase the land.
Yeah.
So if it's $150,000 to purchase the land, that is not factoring in materials, square foot, anything.
No,
So that's why with Barry's project, him being able to make affordable units, it seems like this would benefit Hadley and the seniors that live here who do not want to have to move somewhere else after they've raised their children here and, you know, participated in everything and contributed to the town. This would be something that they can then say, I can finally stay here and sell their 4-3-bedroom house where they live alone.
And this zoning district allows him to build with more density.
Yes,
Than our normal zoning is 1 house, 1 lot.
yes.
So, you know, that helps his bottom dollar, which then, you know, is passed along. It makes it more affordable than a single family on a
Exactly.
single lot.
Yeah. So it seems like, you know, the town of Hadley and the select boards and all of the committees are really trying to keep the seniors placed in Hadley and not displaced. And I think that they would appreciate that very much. And also the new apartments, I believe, Prishon, I think that was his name.
Kishore Parmar.
Okay, yeah.
Kishore.
Parma, okay. He's going to use the area across from, the Nissan dealer. And according to a possibility, those apartments would be about 1,000 square feet once they're, produced, which is exceptionally higher than the square footage in Golden Court, which allows a senior person to enjoy their space when you're downsizing and not have to worry about living in a box where they can't have, you know, family and relatives over or anything because it's so small. So it's a lot. I'm very proud of it. I'm very happy that it's moving in that direction. I really am. Anyone else have anything for Bill? No? Well, thank you for coming, Bill.
Thank you
Have a
for
great
explaining.
day.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate your depth of knowledge and expertise and your willingness to share that with us.
And your patience for waiting.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
You are a
thank you.
star.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you. I can talk about this stuff for hours.
Thank you. We
So
appreciate
I'll spare you.
it. Okay, have a great
Good night.
day. Good night.
Good night.
So now,
That was a coup.
Yeah.
Thank you for getting it.
Yeah.
I'm trying my best to get people to come in and
Yes.
update the town on what the committee is doing, the DEI committee is doing to inform everyone of behind the scenes in case they don't have computers or internet and can't find out, at least, you know, word of mouth can travel.
Yeah.
So I'm very happy about that.
Yeah, and this is such an important issue because so many of us that wouldn't mind downsizing, we bought those homes such a long time ago that the numbers that we remember from 30 or 40 years ago just are not
No.
part of reality
No.
now. They
Yeah.
just have
It's
no
amazing.
relationship with reality anymore. It's really hard to say, nope, put it aside, look at what's actually happening now.
Right.
Yes, and not only that, like you said, the houses were built so long ago that their value is not the amount where you can sell it and then move into a $500,000 condo.
Right.
You know, so it's
Right.
really this affordable
Yeah.
housing. I'm just really, you know, I fight for everyone, the
Yeah.
seniors, races, whatever.
Yeah.
But I do see a lot of the seniors struggling, you know, and it's just not fair. At the town meeting, you heard people say how they, you know, have a big house, they live with all these bedrooms and they're alone. And they can't leave because they can't afford to live anywhere else. So just knowing that and the memories that are in that house and then the struggling with your own, you know, loneliness is, it's just not there, I think. You know, I think our elders have lived through so much to be to this day and still be above ground and able to speak and have a voice. I think they deserve to go out in style. Okay, anyone else have anything to say or can we move on? Okay, so old business. Does anyone want to speak on Dr. McKenzie's visits, or do we have any updated information? I haven't spoken with her about anything, so. Yeah, I don't think we do, so we can move on.
Okay.
The Friday movie matinee at the Senior Center on October 18th, Pat?
As you will remember, we showed Montford Chickasaw Rancher. I think we had between 8 to 10 people.
Okay.
I had seen it, previewed it on the small screen of my home TV, and on the big screen, it was the violence that was part of the experience, of the Native American experience, was much more prominent. So it wasn't the kind of movie that we've shown in the past. Accurate to the experience of Native Americans in the 1800s. And there were some very touching moments highlighting Native American culture. It wasn't entirely violent, but some of the people who were in attendance expressed that they hadn't expected it.
Right.
And because I had seen it on a small screen and grew up with watching Westerns.
Yes, as we all did.
You know, it didn't strike me until I saw it on the big screen and someone expressed to me concern about it. So that was a good message to me, and probably could have used some expertise in processing at the end. But we got good feedback, as always. It was a film that honored Indigenous People Day. And certainly that wasn't everyone who was gathered, but several people did say that to me. So I highlight that going forward. If any of us are previewing something at home, I mean, the beauty of the senior center is there is a big screen.
Right.
And so it comes alive in a way that you don't experience, you know, at home. So
Right.
I would say that. And then two other things that I'll share for those who are going to follow me in facilitating movies. We had a sound problem and a light problem. So the sound was too low. And so, and we lost our tech support. So whoever is the CDI person needs to know how to operate, you know, the sound.
Right.
And also if somebody walks into the room after the lights are out, the lights come on because they're motioned. Okay, so those are just two
Good to know.
flags.
Yeah.
Two things I learned at that movie, so.
Yeah. So you know what, maybe there will be some type of, something that they can do to turn it off, maybe, I'm not sure.
I think that should be investigated,
Yeah,
yes, and
that
then we
might-
should
yeah.
have a written script with questions and answers that we could have near the, you know, the laptop. So it was,
Yeah, like a little box of suggestions.
like, here's what you do if this happened. I mean, it just
Oh,
so
yeah,
happened
yeah,
that there was
exactly,
somebody in the
yeah,
audience who
yeah.
knew what to do.
Oh, wow.
So he stood up and
Oh.
he fixed the lights.
Yeah.
But somebody came in to go into the kitchen.
And
That's
it
what
came
happened
on.
and the lights
Yeah.
came on.
Well, maybe that's something to look into, because when you're enjoying a movie, you want to enjoy
You
it.
do,
Right.
Especially a movie with a
Yeah.
message. You
Yeah.
don't want to miss any part of it. You want to be
No.
able to see it. But
Yeah.
from what you say, it was a really intense and a detailed movie, and some people, you know, it might have bothered them. So I guess previewing it would be a better thing to do before we.
And think
actually-
about that. And also
Yeah.
just introduce it. Like I didn't
Yeah.
introduce, if I had introduced
Yes.
it, it would have been
Be
different.
prepared. Right.
But I didn't experience it myself at home.
Exactly.
But then, you know, so anyway, I
Yeah.
think that's another, thing. It is actually a really inspirational story in the end.
Right.
So when you get to the end,
Yeah.
I mean, this man established a ranching empire, you know, and then the cultural aspect was the Native American cultural aspect was throughout the film, the relationships,
Yeah.
the respect for older people. I mean, there's a lot of beauty in this film too,
Right.
but the reality of you know,
Yeah.
racism and
Yes.
violence
Yeah.
and
Colonial violence.
greediness and
Yeah.
all of that. So anyway,
Yeah,
that's
people
a very
need to
long
understand that.
report, but.
Yeah, it's never ending. It's never
It-
ending.
it-
No matter what period of time, it's always there and it's so sad. We pray for it to maybe not go away, but at least to balance itself out where, you know, targeted races don't feel so targeted, you know, but it is something. All right, well, thank you for that, Pat.
That's a good.
I'm hoping that you, like you said, you did enjoy some of the movie and as a whole, you know, and there were a few things, but going forward, we can look into having that taken care of, so it could be a better experience. Okay. So now, I'm going to, do a Thanksgiving meal for the seniors, as everyone knows. So I was going to use the, senior kitchen, but, the senior center, but from what I was told, you can only have 15 people now. And also, I start cooking usually at like 3, 4 in the morning. And I don't think the senior center would be open at that time.
I think not.
So I'm going to, my son and I, Rich, I know from the commissioners, he has the keys to the lodge.
Oh,
And
okay.
he's going to, well, I was supposed to meet him there, but I started talking and he left. I guess he said, I'm not, where is she? But hopefully I can get in touch with him before next week, and they have ovens and convection ovens and so forth. He said I can come in at any time I want. So that'll be good. I can use that to cook the turkeys in. And quite a few people, so I did put my email in the newsletter regarding the senior dinner, and quite a few people did email me. Yes,
Yeah.
and request a dinner. So a lot of them are elderly and not mobile, which is the demographic I was really trying to, I want to reach everyone. But those who can't get around, I just want them to experience a nice Thanksgiving home cooked meal. So we're going to do that, starting deliveries next week.
So how if we wanted to financially support this gift you and your son are giving, how could we do that?
Well, what you can do is you can buy plates, you can buy napkins, you can buy water. The financial aspect is, but if you wanted to contribute with things of that nature, and, I am looking for a heat bag. You know how they use in the restaurants where you can put like a pizza?
Yeah.
If
when you
anyone has
deliver.
any idea of where I can,
I have one,
you do,
but it's a pizza size.
that's okay, because I could put a bunch
I
of
might
meals
have
in it.
two, actually.
That's what I need. See, that's the,
Okay.
yay. That's what I need, because I want the meals to be hot when I deliver them. I don't want it to be warm or cold. So I'm cooking the turkey. I'm going to make everything together, and then we're going to pack it and deliver it. So I
I
want them to
think
have
I've
it.
seen on that buy nothing list, I think I've seen people offer those insulated bags, like it must be, the buy nothing list, it's like Free Cycle or one of those things where if you have something that you know is still useful, but you don't need it anymore, you can take a picture, it's a Facebook group, you can put it up on
Facebook.
on this group and see if anybody needs that. And you can also ask for stuff that you need, like, and see if anybody has it to give away.
Right.
But I'm pretty sure I've seen people offer those insulated bags. They're sort of silvery and they look like bubble plastic, but they're sturdier.
Well, yeah, like the ones Pat, she has two, so.
Yeah, so you might
wow.
wanna keep an eye on it. I don't know if you're on Facebook, but if you are,
I'm not on social media.
not on social media, okay. Well, if anybody in this group
I'll ask for
is
that
on.
too. I am on the buy nothing.
Yeah, there you go, Pat.
Oh, yeah,
There you go.
I'll be
Yeah.
looking for insulated.
Okay, great.
Well, all right. That, as
Nice.
long as it's going to be, 'cause sometimes the insulation wears out and there's rips and tears, which then it
Yeah,
can't.
they need to be in good condition.
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
thank you
I'll
guys.
get on that.
And also, if anyone, knows of any place that has the, little black containers that can go from the table to the microwave, or table to the freezer to the microwave. Because what I'm going to suggest too is maybe instead of, if they don't want to eat it on that day, they can freeze it and eat it for Thanksgiving. Because we're cooking quite a bit, so they may want to save it, or they may wanna munch on it when they can. Either way,
Yeah.
I love doing, my son and I love doing what we do, you know, helping people and making sure that people are happy in the town.
Good.
All right, jazz music program at the senior center, February 21st, Mark.
I don't have any further planning, but I will be working on that. That's the, what did we decide on? That is the, 1958,
Great Day in Harlem.
yeah, great day.
That was already set to be done, didn't we?
That's in
Violet
February.
say yes?
Yep, yeah, there it is in the
Yep.
minutes.
Yeah, Violet said yes.
Yep.
And I brought a little handout from Wikipedia describing
Oh, good.
the photo that was taken.
Oh,
It's
thank
based
you.
on
Good to have.
the photo
That's good.
in Harlem. It's a very cool story.
Yeah.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
When I searched it online, I found some, and then some actually have numbers and tell you who everybody is and.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I saw that.
There are extras there, Mark, so.
Yes, one
Okay,
friend.
no, so I can pass them around,
You
it's
can
not all
pass it
for me?
around, yes.
You selfish.
Mark, when should I
Thank
put
you.
that, should I put that on, I should put that on another agenda, but when would that be? Because I just put it here knowing if I lose it, but this was kind of early.
Says February 21st, so I thought that Violet
She
agreed.
did.
Yeah.
She did. There is a date.
Isn't that Saturday?
Right,
Well, let's
this is
see.
about, is there
Let's
any
see.
further planning that Mark
Yeah,
Let's see.
wants?
Oh, he said no. he didn't have it.
Oh, okay.
February 21st is a Friday.
Right.
okay, and what time is that?
12:30.
Okay, well, that's.
I'm going to
I
definitely
think that
go
works,
to
I
that
think I
one.
have a
Yeah.
Joanne, do you have one for
4 o'clock
Becky?
flight.
Oh, so they all came this way.
Yeah.
Bradley or?
Yeah.
Okay, that's good, not Boston.
Yeah, I was talking to my, dad about this. He's 82. And it really brought tears to his eyes because, you know, he, and my auntie, she's from Harlem. And they just started going into stories. You know, I wish I could record them, just
Oh,
getting
do
into
it.
that, you know, but they don't want to be recorded. They don't want that. They just, I'm telling you.
Yeah, I think we also said that I'm gonna bring my, my Bluetooth speakers,
yeah,
so that while we're
yeah.
waiting
Yeah.
for it to start, I'll have some jazz. play.
Yeah.
It's here in a minute.
I have it here in my calendar.
Good,
Right.
all right. Well, that's
So
wonderful.
you're
I
good
can't-
now and up to February. We don't need to discuss this.
No.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Cool, great.
No
All right,
further
Good.
discussion.
we're all set.
Well, that was great. So, Mark, any follow-up from the smart growth?
Smart
committee?
Growth Committee,
I think we discussed it, but if you want to reiterate.
we had a
you
little
know.
discussion
Yeah.
before we started, before the cameras. Um, Probably the biggest thing right now is that we're asking for more members. We started with 6, we're down to 4. And we also just heard Bill Dwyer say that even if we don't get grant funding, there's a possibility that the town's affordable housing trust fund might be able to help fund the efforts to move this effort through towards a zoning amendment, whatever that shape might take. So, I think we already heard Bill talk briefly about what the smart growth is doing. It's not just one, as he said, it's not just one thing. It's not just 40R. It's not just senior housing. It's not just affordable housing. It's, smart growth is, it's a lot of things in trying to combine and help the community in that sense.
Okay. Yes. So as far as the old business letter F, do we have any updates regarding new guests? Does anyone want to invite someone or anyone that they have in mind starting for next year? Well, yeah,
I invited Nikki. She wasn't available tonight,
right.
but then I asked her if she would be available for the next 2 meetings and she hasn't gotten back to me yet.
Okay, okay. I, do remember when we spoke with, Annie McKenzie, the school superintendent, that we would have someone from the school, the elementary and middle and high school come in about the diversity and equity and inclusion in the schools that they're implementing. So I will have that done. I will get back to her and hopefully we can maybe do it in February. I think that's winter vacation. This should be good for the children. I'm also with the large event that they have, I believe it's in June. I would love to cover that in person. So I'm wondering if we can try to somehow maybe have our meeting at that event outside of the senior center to incorporate that into our DEI meeting. So because it is about diversity and equity and inclusion and race and sex and gender and so forth. It's a big event that they host every year. So I really believe that's interesting enough for us to get people to review what we do and see our accomplishments and where we're going in the future.
Oh, cool. Were we, St. John, we were gonna have someone from the senior center meet and they couldn't.
Yeah, that's why I haven't said anything about
Oh,
it.
okay,
Because
so we don't.
they're unable to
Then, and
come.
I just wanted to know how far out in terms of guests, these are Hadley, groups in Hadley, people in Hadley, how?
Well, as we stated earlier, anyone that you would like to bring that can provide us information on inclusion, diversity, equity, inclusion, they don't have to be from Hadley. Remember your group.
Well,
that
that's
you're
what I'm
from.
thinking of,
Yeah.
because my interest is kind of around what are people in and around Hadley doing to enhance our town? But yes, the group I told you about, they're half of those people are in Brooklyn.
Right,
And so if they.
but it's also about diversity and inclusion.
Exactly right.
So it doesn't have to be someone from Hadley, as long as it refers to
That's-
diversity, equity, and
Okay.
inclusion, and can inform us and Hadley on how we can all become part of that. So any information that can direct anyone into being inclusive in anything regarding the town and can bring us together, that would be amazing for our guests to come in
Yeah,
and implement.
outsiders want to
This is what I mean.
plant the seed of new ideas for us. We're all,
We're all for it.
Right.
yep.
And then my other thought was, I remember when we started the committee, I had looked at the different faith groups to see what they were doing, and I revisited that because the faith group that had the most going on was the Wesley Church, and they still do have things going on that have to do with what we're about. So, I looked at the First Congregational Church, and I thought of this because I had gotten, I think I'm on the Hadley Learns list, and that the Hampshire Mosque had an open house. I wasn't able to attend, but you know, the different faith groups are interested in this work as well. I also looked up the Interfaith Opportunities Network. Have any of you heard of that?
No.
I have a question. Where is this Wesley Church?
In Hadley.
Okay.
Yeah,
where-
now the
It's
members-
on North Maple, or is it already
Oh, is it that church going
Yeah.
it's
toward?
on the hill
Oh, I've.
opposite where the
Yeah.
Hadley
Yeah,
Farm?
it's
beautiful.
a huge church.
Yeah.
Huge.
Yeah, it's
Yes, I've been
really
there.
pretty.
Yeah, I've been there.
Oh,
That one.
they have a rainbow flag out.
Yes,
Yeah,
that's right.
yeah.
Yes, that's
I
that.
noticed it.
Yeah.
I
noticed.
just
Yes.
forgot
Yeah.
the name. That's why
That's
as
okay.
it sounded familiar, but I said, maybe not. Let me just
Yeah.
ask where it is.
It's
Yeah, it's huge. I
It's
went
huge.
inside. And they're very welcoming.
Yeah.
It's a wonderful place to go. Really, it's very diverse.
Huh.
Yeah,
Okay,
very
good to
diverse.
know.
Yep, and if you go to an event there, the acoustics are great.
Yeah.
The Interfaith Opportunities Network is a lay organization of congregations and campus ministries in Western Mass. So this list of members are like the, Quakers and Jewish and Christian, various groups. But I noticed that some of the work they're doing, they've got a great piece on Thanksgiving here. They're just doing like things on reparations, a whole lot of cool stuff.
Huh.
I mean, these are all things that I just looked up, I thought, let's see. They did a project helping to restore the Goodwin Church in Amherst. They helped raise money to do some repairs at the Hampshire Mosque. And then there's this organization called 400 Years Truth and Healing for the Next 7 Generations. That's having to do with the colonists taking native lands. And I mean, they're doing cool stuff.
Are we able to reach out to them? Do you have a contact information for them?
Well, I know one person is involved in that group. And I could look up the name of one of the.
So
I
just the group as a whole, you can't contact the person who, because the reason why I'm asking
Yeah.
is because you mentioned they did something for Amherst. They did something for the, Hadley Mosque. Maybe there's something they can do for us to help us move along with our goal and our message and our mission. So that's why I was saying, do you have any way, or you just printed it off on the website?
I printed it, I've been aware of this organization for probably the last decade.
What is the name of it?
Interfaith Opportunities Network. It looks like their founder has passed away, but they're still actively doing things.
I could probably find out a contact information for them to speak with someone there to see what they could possibly, or how they feel about it. You never know.
It's just
You never
interesting
know.
to see what people are doing.
Yeah.
That's kind of, so all those things. And they had a whole thing, because we had on here Thanksgiving, this whole thing on.
Right, the
What does-
question is, what does Thanksgiving mean to you?
Right, and they have a whole piece on looking deeply at Thanksgiving with some links and, all. Yeah, I just kind of got into a little research.
Yeah,
mode.
I know you, and she went down the rabbit hole
Yeah,
as
that's great.
usual. As you can see, the stack of
Yeah.
leaves, that's Joanne.
That's me.
Well, I appreciate it. Thank you so much,
Yes,
because you know what? We didn't have that information before we stepped in this meeting. So you've enlightened us and I appreciate it.
Yeah, these groups are doing things and.
Right.
You know, I'm interested, particularly, you know, you have talked a lot about, well, we all have, the importance of lifting up and what are the good things people are doing.
Right,
The things that you mentioned about, you know, after the election,
Yes,
the,
that
what
email.
is, where are we, where's the light?
Yes.
Where is the light?
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
And that's kind of what got me thinking about those groups, whether there might, you know, be people who would wanna meet and share with us
Right.
what they're doing.
And that's what I'll do. I'll find a way to contact them.
Yeah,
and-
Yeah, there's, like I said, it shouldn't be hard, you can go right on there, you know, online and find, I assume they've got to contact us.
Right, exactly.
What they
That's
should-
what I'll do with that.
Wesley is probably the same.
Should I put their website in our minutes?
Well, they don't have a website.
Well, yeah, they do, but I just printed this off. I mean, there's their email, you can info@interfaithamherst.org.
Oh, they're based out of
You could
Amherst.
just send me the link.
Oh,
to
wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That would be great.
Yeah. I mean, I went to one of the thing, they're raising money for the Goodwin Church, and it was this great potluck, massive, fabulous, delicious meal. Room full, was really great. And everyone sat down and what faith community you from, and lots of, you know, like,
Community.
no, you know, proselytizing. It was, tell me what your group, you know, a lot of, you know, real uplifting.
That was nice.
That was a
That's-
while ago,
but still, though,
pre-pandemic.
Just to
Yeah.
experience that and for you to remember it today.
Yeah.
And as you said,
Yeah.
pre-pandemic, so it was a while ago.
Yeah, it
So
was.
it did make a mark in you. It
It
really did. So that's
Yeah,
good.
I was glad that I went. And I
That's
said,
what we
I'm gonna
need.
contribute, and I get my checkbook out.
Silly.
You know, Well,
That's
that's
wonderful.
part of one of, I don't know which group was sponsoring this, but they recently had the two African-American churches in Amherst who had not met together in like over a century, had, you know, worship together.
Mhm. That was wonderful. I know
Yeah.
one of the oldest, it's the oldest church in Amherst. My auntie goes to that church. I know the name, but I can't remember it right now.
So the two churches are named, oh no, I don't know their names. Grace, wasn't
The
Grace.
Goodwin was one of them.
I think I know the churches. Pastor, Hope Pastor, well, whatever. Anyway, just things going on.
Yeah, I feel like I've heard, I remember reading something about
Was
those
the
two
paper.
churches, yeah,
Yeah,
but I don't remember them.
yeah. Okay.
Well,
So we'll keep
anyone
on.
else have any information? That's fine. No? Okay. So I did, speak with Alyssa.
Yes,
You spoke with her too?
didn't we have a Zoom?
No, after that.
Oh, no, I didn't speak to her after that.
Right, because neither of us she never got back to us. She was so busy. So I did reach out to her and email her and try to find out where she was. She went, she was out of the country for a little while.
Oh.
So she came back and she reached back out to me. We had a little conversation. I asked her, you know, if she remembered our conversation, and if not, I can, reiterate, she remembered everything, and she sent me some information. So it basically, I didn't print it out because it's really big, but it's the Boston Center for Equality. And this basically, I can share it with everyone via email.
Great.
This basically explains what her company, what she does, and what her position is for other towns. One, it's a 4-part introductory solution that provides foundational elements to ensure lasting impact of your town's DEI efforts. Number 1, DEI assessment and reporting. Number 2, strategic DEI planning. Number 3, training and development. Number 4, incident reporting systems. And this is everything that they go into. They have shareholder interviews, stakeholder interviews, resident perception surveys, policy reviews, planning structures, harassment prevention, and an explanation of why we should work with them. This information is definitely something to look into. However, I don't think that Hadley itself is in a spot where we need intervention. I think we can receive the assistance somehow, because I did ask her, as when Mark and I were on the Zoom, if she had any resources to fund, right? I think to fund anything we can do for the town of Hadley to provide our community with further information on the DEI. So I thought that's what she was going to get back to us with, that type of resource. But basically, she sent me information about what her company's mission and goals is for what they do when they work with towns. So I'm going to reach back out to her and just explain if, you know, we'd like to know if there's any funding resources. Because like I said, if we wanted to go and do our DEI meeting at the school, when they put on their event, that's going to possibly take up time. You know, I don't know what the structure would be and who we would have to agree to and so forth, but, you know, we can use funding to go forward with preparing events. You know, there are stuff we can do with the town, children, you know, if we had the funding to do so. There training maybe we all can do to better, you know, understand what lies within us, no matter what color you are, what race you are, to see if we have any inhibitions on racism within ourselves that we can get rid of. You know, you never know. A lot of people do not know that they may have hidden aspects of themselves, and they don't intend to be racist or prejudiced, but it's just the way some people were raised and the way society can play a part on as well. So that was what Alyssa had to say, and if anyone else knows of any resources or groups that can assist with funding.
Well, I was gonna suggest, and this is just an idea, you can throw it out with the bathwater, but if you share that site with all of us, maybe we all go off in the next month and when we have time, look at that and look at the services that they offer. And think if there's any of those that we think would be really helpful to us, then we can come back and discuss that at next week, at next month's meeting. And then ask her, what would something like that cost?
Yeah.
And we could put the worst we can do is ask when the budget is being requested in January, February, say, would you, Hadley Select Board, would you consider funding us for, you know, if it's
Training.
if it's $500 or, you know, $1,200, I don't know. You know,
And you did mention that, I think you did mention that if we did want funding, we should do it now so that when it goes before the board next year, it would already be in, because after that, we can't request it.
Yeah.
That'll be great.
So
Well, that's a good thing. I can share this, this whole PDF with you guys and take a look at it. And if we don't, well, we would have to have it because it's already December.
Yeah, we'd have to
So I can, as I said, I'll reach out to her and see if there are any sources that she may have that can fund us, or if there are any groups that can reach out, and then I can bring that back to the meeting as well. And with everyone else receiving this information, you guys can delve into it too and see what you can find out.
I don't wanna pressure anyone. I'm not offering myself on this one, but if we wanted to make a subcommittee of 2 or 3, that's less than a quorum. You don't have to have an open meeting. They could work on this and gather those and, you know, so that it's really, you know, we can make some progress and maybe even have a conversation with her so that maybe by next meeting, we would already, you know, that committee would have already talked to her and said, oh, this is what it sounds like we can, it would be this much for this much or not.
Right.
And then we could decide which to go with and request from the town. And if we, you know, if they say we've never funded diversity before, then at least we asked.
We could be the first.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You never know.
Well, I just like the idea. It reminds me that the one thing I had thought about from Dr. McKenzie's visit was I loved how much training that the schools were doing. And the thought was,
Yeah.
can we in the community? You know, those who are interested, not, you know, I've read enough about trainings, for example, in business places where it's mandatory and that gets real messy,
Mhm.
you know, but I would be really interested. That's,
Yeah. If anyone else wanted to assist, that would be excellent. As I stated, I'm going to give her a call and speak with her and just directly see what resources she may have for funding, as well as, because it is a paid thing. They do.
Oh, yeah.
They want to pay. So we can look into the different aspects of what they offer, the fee amount, and if it's a class or the extent of it, you know, what are we going to learn and how can we implement this in our town? And we, as Mark said, we do not want to seem pushy, but sometimes you have to take the first step.
And you never know. I mean, there might be a groundswell, you know, after January in town that says, yeah, we support diversity. And maybe the town meeting will say, is that all diversity committee needs? You know.
Wow, that would be great.
Cool, wouldn't that be neat?
Oh, that would be
I don't, you
great.
know,
I'm not gonna hold my breath.
Like they
No,
said,
no.
after the Christmas miracle beyond.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
do not hold your breath.
Yeah.
Don't do that. Keep
It
breathing.
strikes me this might be an opportunity to somehow talk with our select board rep.
Yes.
Yeah, invite Randy in to talk with us
Oh,
about this, because I think
yes.
this is much
Oh.
bigger than we are.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And it
Yeah.
really needs to have the support of the select board, and Randy is our liaison.
Right.
Yeah.
right.
Let's
So
get
maybe
people
if
here.
you are going to talk with her, and then maybe once you find that information, we could ask Randy if he would come to a meeting and help us think about this.
Yeah.
So when you say ask him to come to a meeting to help us think, what type of information would we be discussing with him?
That we're thinking about doing some town-wide assessment, training, something. We've been talking about engaging people in town on these issues, and how would we even go about that?
I was just assuming our committee.
Yeah, I
was
can
not
ask
thinking
him to
about the
come.
town, yeah, but that would be okay. Yeah, I was thinking about the committee and then from there, reaching out to the town. But if that sounds like a great idea.
Well,
Pat.
especially when we're looking for money.
Right.
Yeah, well,
I
that
mean,
would have
if-
had to be the next
Yeah.
step after
Yeah,
speaking
right.
with her. We can't just accept it, yeah.
Yeah.
But that's a great idea to see if we can implement it into the town somehow.
Just
be
have
grateful.
him,
Thank you.
have him be our guest. He is our liaison.
Yeah.
Well, that's afterwards though, not now.
Somebody, I don't know if it was Andy Morris Friedman or something, said, we just approved, you know, going from 100,000 to 300,000 on a
Oh,
heavy
yeah.
equipment, and here we are fighting about $10,000 and.
Oh, yeah.
So, you know, maybe if we asked for $500 or $1,000 for, well, I mean, I have no idea what,
Right, that's true.
what we would be asking her for and
Yeah.
what it would cost, but, you know,
That would be
It doesn't
great.
hurt to
That's
ask.
why I say, yeah, I'm going to look into
Yeah.
what resources. or
Sure.
what
Do
they
that first
offer.
and then
And
think
then
about
once I
it.
have that
Yeah, once you have
information,
information.
I'll share it with the group and then we
Yeah.
can take it from
Okay.
there and say, okay, now we can ask Randy and now we know what we're going to
Yeah.
speak
That
about.
makes
Like
sense.
This way we don't go into it blind because we don't know what she
Right.
offers, you know? She didn't even send me that information, so I think I do need to speak with her again to be a little more detailed about what we do. Because that would be something, you know, I mean, if the schools are doing it,
Yeah. Okay.
I think we should do it as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
We, us as a town. Okay, anyone else have any thoughts about this? No?
That's good. That sounds really exciting. Yeah, well, it could be.
Okay, so the James Baldwin event, that, Mark, I want to thank you for sending that, first of all. I
Oh.
appreciate it. Thank you for sending that email. And I did go and Joanne and her husband went as well. And it was very interesting. It was a lot of factors I didn't know about James Baldwin. I did not know James Baldwin was gay. I didn't know that he had to go through I did know some of the race issues, but there was so much more that he went through. And the curator, he was a professor at the college.
I didn't bring my
I
notes
wrote
with
it
me.
down.
Is it Princeton?
Yeah, I think it was Princeton. He was a curator at Princeton. He was from Princeton. And as he was talking about James Baldwin's life and the book, he started to cry. And it really touched you because his emotional presence and what he stood for and how he felt resonated throughout the whole place. It brought you into that time period. It made you realize and understand and feel what this man was going through. I mean, it was a spectacular event. Some of it was upsetting, of course, but like you said about the Chickasaws, it comes with the territory, you know, but it was excellent. And I go home and I have James Baldwin's book, The Sun, in my house, so I reread it. I reread it, you know, but it was a great evening. They had food.
Yeah.
I don't eat that, so I came there and Joanne was munching. Yes, she was enjoying it, but it was wonderful. I really enjoyed it. I seen a couple of people there that I know, and it was just great seeing everyone. It was just a wonderful event, and they had a follow-up. If you wanted to attend the follow-up, you could have. It went into discussing what he talked about and answered any questions.
I appreciated that he connected this to the election results and how relevant what James Baldwin had to say ties into today.
Yeah.
And it was packed. I got there when there were still tables to dine at, and I sat, before you came, there were many people that asked if that seat was taken. I said, I'm sorry, my friend Crystal's coming. And that they had a follow-up questionnaire that I filled out, you know, and then I went to the movie show, I Am Not Your Negro, afterwards. Any case, it's getting late, but it was great, and I appreciated it, like, I'm enjoying that we're sharing things. I mean, I'm even enjoying that piece, Sarah, not to digress, that piece on rewilding. Wonderful. So anyway, just anything people find, pass it, share it.
So the last question under new business, I thought about this and I just wanted everyone's opinion. You don't have to if you didn't want to. I just want to know what Thanksgiving means to you. You know, where does that fit in your heart and how do you relate to it? Or is it a special time where you may only see family once a year? Is it a special gathering? Is it something historical that you don't have Thanksgiving because of that? You know, so does anyone have anything to say about that, or everyone's?
Well, I would say I grew up in a house where my father was Catholic and my mother was not gonna convert. when they were gonna get married, that she said, so I have to say that my parents are damned to hell because they're not Catholics if I join. She's like, no, you can raise kids. So I had this split household. Mom was, Presbyterian and dad was Catholic. And, dad would take us to church on Sunday, but otherwise I'd say we were a fairly agnostic house. But Thanksgiving was a time that was, we would all pray together, and be thankful. So,
Wonderful.
My growing up, Thanksgiving was when we all got together, and when I was little, it was at my grandparents' house. So I get to see cousins and aunts and uncles. And this is before any social media and all that. We're talking about card playing, we're talking about sledding when there was snow. And half the time there'd be a blizzard, so they were staying overnight, so it was, and I just have all these, and my family, there wasn't talk about, no, this is Thanksgiving, what is it about? Do we have any thoughts? But there was an awareness of who were the elders there. And then, one by one, as people passed, it got to, when I moved down here, my grandmother passed away. I started to host things at my house, and it got to be a pretty big group. And my husband, Thanksgiving is his favorite holiday because it's not commercialized as much.
Yeah.
And his birthday often falls on Thanksgiving. So, and he was born like the day after Thanksgiving back in 1949. Once my mom passed away, then it really shifted, because I felt like after dad died, now mom, that was almost like it means a lot to mom. And that therefore it means a lot to me. And I follow her recipe for the turkey and the stuff, this is all, and then I stopped doing it, and I just had Jeff and Jenny and me, and I just, it just was empty in that way, but also peaceful. So when my husband said, okay, I get that you really like, and my family, and my husband, they're, I don't want to say they don't get along, but they just don't click. So he knows this is more about for me, and this is the only time pretty much Jenny sees her cousin. So, but we had a consultation. He said, no, it's important to you. And so why don't you just make it a little more potluck, so it feels like the division of work is a little bit better. So it does look like I'll have, aside from Jeff and Jenny and me, my brother and his wife and my sister and her husband, and the kids that are in the area.
That's wonderful.
Which is just nice.
And when was the last time that was done?
So the last time I did that was last year, but it didn't include my brother's wife or his two adult kids. No, his son came. His daughter was going with her
mate,
half siblings from it was a second marriage. So she got invited. She's got a whole slew of siblings, but she wanted to join us this year, and her daughter is 9. So we'll have a young one there.
That's great for you.
It is.
Because the way you talk about it really means a lot to you.
Yeah, it's, I grew up where family, in terms of relationships, genealogy, all this relationships, it was important. I would say at this stage, I yearn for more real, true intimacy and true connection. Not, okay, we're related, but there's more here, and not everyone is there. But I've learned to just really love and accept people where they are. And I have to say, since both our parents are gone, it's like all I have now is my brother, my sister. The relationships are so much better, And it's not about that any of our differences have changed. It's that, it's just, you're my kid.
Exactly.
You know, I don't have time to,
To be mad at the past.
no.
Exactly, at this age, you just wanna move on to happiness.
We're all in our sixties, and so I'm looking forward to that, and I appreciate you bringing that up.
Well, I'm happy for you, Joanne, I really am, because I see this means a lot to you, and I'm glad you get to participate and do that, because I know you are going to be so happy on that day. I really
I like
do.
seeing family.
I can see you now, just controlling and running everything, just being in charge.
Jeff knows it's my kitchen.
And yes, and everyone knows to stay in the living room and watch TV. Until
Quite like that, but I hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
Jenny's in charge of the salad. Yeah.
Oh, the UMass marching band is playing in the Macy's.
Oh, they are?
Lovely.
So turn on the parade.
Love that.
Yeah, I have a student, she's gonna be on TV, it's a big deal.
That is so
Honor.
amazing.
Oh,
yeah,
Megan.
they're great.
I think I heard they haven't,
when.
they haven't done it in like 20 years or something, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're excited, they're really
Oh
excited.
my goodness, now I'm gonna.
Well, I appreciate you bringing that up,
Yeah.
because that's like the one consistency in my Thanksgiving story
parade.
is the
Oh.
parade.
Oh, right.
Because
Yeah.
I was born in New York, but I grew up on the West Coast, and
Mhm.
I've had family changes in my life, so some
Mm.
Thanksgivings have been with some people and others,
Right.
and then I got married and we have a blended family, so
Right.
there isn't a single Thanksgiving that's the same as the
Mhm.
next one.
Mhm.
Except I always do try to watch the parade.
If you have
That's
never
nice.
been to the parade, you need to go.
Really?
Oh, it's wonderful. I mean, there's a lot of people, but it's the energy you feel.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's the Macy's Day Parade. I've gone there so many times as a child. you know.
That giant Snoopy, you know.
Oh, yeah, the turkey itself.
Yeah.
That's and the bands and the twirlers and the,
Yeah.
floats.
Yes,
Floats,
yeah,
and it's all
waving,
good.
making you feel like they really see you.
Mhm.
They're not just waving to everywhere.
Mhm.
That's
My
wonderful.
sister was in it one year.
Oh,
She was in the parade?
Huh.
Wow,
Mhm.
I see. And do you have anything to share?
I guess for me, Thanksgiving has been more about friends than family. My mom was part of a big extended family, and we definitely got together, but at other times. And when I was growing up, for Thanksgiving, we went to the home of the family where her college roommate, they stayed friends for their whole lives.
Oh.
It was like, that was the first person she met
Mhm.
when she got to college, and they stayed friends their whole lives. So we went there for Thanksgiving. And then, you know, as the things changed, kids grew up and flew the coop, and we didn't do that anymore, and did a variety of different things. And more recently, what I've really appreciated is just staying close to home, and for a couple years, you know, being able to go to my daughter's house because she's close now. But before that, and again this year, being able to go to a friend's house who's on the Garland team, and it's mostly Garland team people, and we each bring part of the meal. And
That's great.
yeah,
That's
it's really
wonderful.
nice.
That's
Yeah,
wonderful.
because those people have been part of my life for over 30 years, some of them.
It's always good to have an
Yeah.
established relationship during the holidays.
Yeah.
Because you don't feel alone and you can celebrate with someone that you care about and trust. You know, it's a
Yeah,
wonderful
just really
feeling.
relaxed.
Right, you
Yeah.
know? Anything more? Megan?
You,
Me? Well, Thanksgiving, so being African American and Native American, we actually reflected on a lot during Thanksgiving. We reflected on what happened to the Native Americans. We reflected with what happened with slavery. And then we give thanks for being in our position now to being able to enjoy the meal and not have to worry about circumstances. It was cousins and nieces and nephews and everyone. And like Joanne said, it was her kitchen, my grandmother's kitchen. You could not come in the kitchen. We waited and we waited and we smelled the food and we just could not wait. And when it was time to eat, we couldn't touch it. because we all had to hold hands and pray and give thanks for the meal. And then we had to eat like civilized people. Right? We couldn't just dive in. Yes, and imagine as children when you smell apple pie and all of this is homemade. So it just was a wonderful event. And now, you know, I'm going to be 60 soon. So, you know, relatives have, you know, went away and we just do things at home now. My son and I have, you know, grown children in live different states. So it's really, you know, my brother and his family, they go out in the country on holidays, and my other brother, him and his family. So that's why I took this year, my son and I, to give back and to give to the community, because it's nothing better than feeling loved and part of something on a special day.
Yeah.
So giving these meals is making people feel loved and special on that day. Not to know what's gonna happen next year because you can't look at that far, but hopefully I'll be on an island somewhere. I would love that, just enjoying it, smelling turkey in my brain. But that's wonderful. I'm glad I did pose this question, and I'm glad everyone had so many words to say and so much wonderfulness about it.
Are you gonna say anything, Megan?
Well, just, we're hosting, it'll be fairly small. My mom and stepdad will be there. My mom's a great cook, so she'll help with some of the cooking. And one of my siblings and his partner are coming out from California. Last Thanksgiving, he taught everybody how to play backgammon, and the kids got, like, especially my son got really into it. So there'll be walks, there'll be backgammon, we'll maybe, you know, light a fire in the fireplace and then eat a lot of food and watch some football, probably put the parade on.
Yeah,
So
that's
it's been nice.
wonderful.
We try to go around the table and say what we're grateful for. And
Yeah.
one year, my daughter even had like a little picture book about gratitude. The kids are getting a little older now, but
Yeah.
Wonderful.
I'll still make them do something.
Just that right there is
Yeah.
going to stay with them
Yes.
until the end of time now, and they probably will implement that into their own when they
Yeah.
have children. And just to let you know, I am a backgammon queen.
Okay.
Yes, I am. I have taken backgammon sets because people, well, men challenge me. Yes, and they would
win
say,
them.
oh, what do I get if I win? I said, you can have my set. What do I get if I win?
Yeah.
And they
Yeah.
were like, what do you want? Your set. And then and I would beat them and I would take their set and say, click, click, thank you.
I love that.
Thank you so
You're
much.
like the pool shark for
Oh,
backgammon.
yes. And
Yes.
trust me, they were like, no, wait, no, it's over.
Mhm.
It's
Mhm.
over, relax.
Can't go back.
But my father one time played 23 games of backgammon with me when I was about 14. And being that you're young, you don't know to let someone win.
Mm.
So you can just go ahead about your day. So I kept beating him until it dawned on me like, oh, wait, if I let him win,
Mhm.
it'll be over.
That's so funny.
So I let him win. He was like, I knew I'd win. In my mind, I'm like, how many games did we play? So it's a lot. For backgammon, it's really, it's a good game. I love backgammon and AC Doocy. That's another game we play with backgammon chips.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's a lot. I told you I'm a backgammon queen. If your son wants to be educated, bring his set with him.
Yeah, but I'll warn him ahead of time.
Warn him ahead of
Don't
time.
bet her.
Don't play with her.
anything.
No.
Missy Jackson will take your set.
Well, that was excellent.
Would you like to share anything about Thanksgiving?
I was going to ask you, but I didn't know if it was going to be inappropriate.
That's fine, I don't got too much, a divorced household, so I went
Mm.
between houses.
Mhm.
Do you have children? No?
No, I'm 25.
Oh, 25, okay.
Don't push them, there's time.
There's plenty of time, that's right.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. Well, I'm glad I brought that question up.
Yeah.
That's nice.
That's a
nice reflection.
Yeah, it gives us all a positive thing to think about when we go home and to be happy, you know? Okay, well, the open agenda for next month, anything?
No, that's for this is for this meeting, if anybody wanted to add anything.
I'm sorry, I'm
just
tired.
Yeah.
I just
It's
want to
like almost
mention
9 o'clock.
that
Yeah.
the next meeting is only 3 weeks from right now. This is
Yeah.
really tight in terms of minutes and agendas. So I,
So what you're saying is let's get it done fast.
We
Well,
tried to do the meeting last week as a result
Yeah.
of this,
Yeah.
but couldn't because of the content.
Exactly.
I'm not gonna be able to do any work on this next
Okay.
week, cause I'm dealing with Thanksgiving.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, right.
But, you know, I'm just putting that out there. I don't know if you're gonna have a chance to. I'm just stating that, that's all.
Good reminder.
Yeah.
I can't make it to the next meeting because of the concert.
Oh, right, you did say
Right.
that.
So you would wanna make sure you have you need 5 for the quorum, is that right?
I thought we would need half.
We need 4.
Yeah.
Oh, you need 4,
Yeah.
okay, okay, great,
We can afford to have 2 people.
Yeah, 4.
Yes.
good.
Okay.
I had 3 thoughts I jotted down under open agenda as we all talked, so that's, I'll share. One was that yesterday I learned, and I had to donate to Wikipedia, because I use that all the time to look things up. Yesterday, November 20th, was the International Transgender Remembrance Day. And it harkens back to 1998, when Rita Hester was brutally killed in Alston, right here in Massachusetts. And it's now the International Day of Remembrance. Rita Hester was originally a African-American man, transgender to woman, and yeah, so that was an interesting.
Wow.
Yeah.
And what is Rita, what is the last name?
Hester,
Hester?
Hester, I think.
Mm-hmm.
That was one thing. Other thing I put down was that, I don't know if anybody noticed it, but UMass Amherst made the news that they sent out a notice to foreign students that they may want to return before January 20th, in case there are travel bans. So, and
That's terrible.
and the university said, we will find you housing, because the semester doesn't start till like another week or so, like that, so. Fortunately, this is where we are.
So they're saying to give up your education, or they're saying
No.
to visiting?
Saying to come early?
No,
Yeah.
I want to get back
Come
to
back.
that.
Visiting.
They're saying if you're going back home, outside the country,
Yeah.
you might wanna come back under the Biden administration
Then to do it.
Come back
than to wait.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Okay, that's what I thought, but I was like,
I read
Yeah.
that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which
wow.
also made me think of, and that was not my, I guess that would be a fourth, made me think of my, church, the Unitarian in Northampton, when this happened 6-8 years ago. They went through the efforts to design and get a permit and modify their basement to meet code to be a dwelling unit for, Irita, who, was here with her family, but she was not legally here. Her husband and kids were, but she was subject to being deported under the first Trump administration. So they made the basement a sanctuary. And she has become a huge part of the community, and she started raising funds, and she would make pierogies and sell them, and it has just become a huge part of the culture.
Wow.
So, yeah.
That's great.
But actually, the first thought I wrote down was back when you were talking about the interfaith, it made me think of the interfaith cot shelter. When I was more active in my church, I would sometimes help the youth group there, which was signed up for one Sunday a month. They would cook all afternoon, and they would bring dinner to the interfaith cot shelter and serve dinner to the homeless people. And I did that with them a few times, where I would drive them over and I would help them serve, and we would clean up and do the dishes and all that. And it was so moving to me, you know, the gratitude from these people when you're serving them a meal, that I ended up volunteering and became, I would be available. They had a room where I could sleep, and I would stay overnight in case the staff needed help, and they would give you a parking pass so you could stay in the, park in the parking garage. And I miss doing that, but that might be something, I just had this idea that maybe we could put out there, you know, not that any of us has the bandwidth, but there might be people watching this, you know, every month and saying, oh, you know, I'd like to get involved, but I don't wanna, you know, get into all that, you know, all this work and commitment. And that might be something that you could rotate in and out if there was someone out there that wanted to reach out to us and say, hey, that's something I'd like to get involved with, the interfaith cot shelter, or another one, that's just the one I know of. They could send us an email at hadleycdei@gmail.com, and maybe we could start something.
Exactly.
Yeah, because it's something like that, you know, sometimes doing the little things, we, you know, we don't have a budget, so we sometimes feel like we're not doing much but talking. But doing things and being there with, when you see the gratitude,
I know.
that can really bring you up to your best level.
Oh,
So,
it does.
yeah.
It really does.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully someone can reach out. It's via email.
Yeah.
You know, you can just send us an email and we'll be able to respond. But
Yeah.
we have had so many good ideas here. We've had such a wonderful talk and chat and evening. To me, this was kind of the better one in the recent month. We just all feel like we're sitting around, I think, like we're sitting around a fire. We're just so comfortable in talking. That's the vibe I'm getting. I'm getting a relaxed vibe. There is no animosity, no anxiety or extra energy. It's just everyone just so chill. I love it.
I wanted to make one other resource. So you might have heard of the Stonewall Center on campus at UMass. So they're specifically offering information and resources and trainings for trans and non-binary and gender expansive students to think about what are some of the legal actions students can take, whether that's around name change or identification on different legal documents before January 20th. I'm wanting to reach out to them in terms of if there's any resources for faculty, staff, and community members on how to show up in allyship with trans and gender expansive folks in the community, just as we're thinking about who's likely to be most vulnerable, impacted, targeted, you know. I think that is sadly one of the groups of people that's been really scapegoated in the rhetoric.
Yeah.
So.
And that.
Are we still recording or?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, we are?
That was the
Oh, yeah.
TV check.
Okay.
Yeah, the TV was done.
And that, I believe, is the event that the elementary school does in June, I believe, about.
Oh,
No,
or
no,
about,
have the elementary,
Oh.
they put on an event and it's about diversity, equity, inclusion, and it includes everyone.
great.
So that's why I wanted to be there in person to
Yes.
record it, not to just sit in a room. I want to have that whole element part of the whole meeting. So yeah, they're also doing, they do something like that. So that's wonderful. I
Yeah,
think
if
right
anyone's
there.
interested, I believe the event at Stonewall is on the 4th of December. But I think it is specifically for students, but they do so much programming that I can let folks know if there's any other sort of community-based events. that
Or
we
if they
could attend.
allow someone from the DEI to sit in.
Mhm.
You never know, they may make an exception.
Yep,
That's how they can get their message out to other towns.
Yes.
A representative.
Yep.
Well, I guess that's what we all have to say tonight. I want to thank everyone again for coming and have a happy and wonderful Thanksgiving. And
Should we formally adjourn?
I was just getting ready to say, something.
Okay.
Go ahead, Mark.
Well, or was that your closing reflection?
That was my closing.
Yeah, I have not been good about being the clock keeper. But I think it was all good. It was
Yeah.
all good.
Yeah.
Started
It's
late.
great you're making those dishes with your son.
Yeah, thank you
Oh,
for
thank
doing
you.
that.
I love it. I just want to do more.
Well,
No.
so we can get Nick out of here. I'm
Yeah.
going
Oh, here we go.
to make a move that we adjourn.
Yes.
Second.
Second,
In favor, Sarah Strong?
In favor.
Yes.
Yes,
Joanne?
Joanne.
Yes.
Yeah.
Crystal, yes. Mark, yes.
Megan, yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Pat says
and
no.
PR.
Pat abstains.
Yeah.